Hi, welcome to the Rod Cyndee podcast. My name is Rod Lyman. I'm here today with a beautiful, beautiful soul. Her name is
Cyndee Muby. Hello, you all.
Hi, everybody. This is awesome. I guess we have somebody from France also with us today, right? Her name is Leah. Hi, Leah. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. Thank you.
That's awesome. She's here visiting her aunt, and it's kind of cool that she wanted to come and be part of the podcast, so we invited her in. This is a very, very exciting podcast. The reason this is such an exciting podcast is that we have one of our very first huge companies that are supporting this podcast, and they're sponsoring it. Their name is Peachlook, peachlook.com. There's this beautiful apparel place that Cyndee actually has a pair of leggings from Peachlook. How are they, Cyndee?
Oh, they're absolutely lovely. They're so comfortable and warm, but not too warm. They're really wonderful.
I like the look of them. They're a beautiful look. They have this beautiful texture towards them and everything else. I'm not a leggings person myself, but I do like them on other people.
Yeah, they are. They're fun, and they're just, again, they're so comfortable and easy to work with. You can wear a long top or, dress or, a t-shirt or a jacket over them, and they're just so versatile.
Yep, it's peachlook.com. I'm excited about this because Peachlook wanted, besides sponsoring this podcast, they wanted to give away a pair of leggings to somebody. Now, this is just a random thing. It's random. Everything's random about it. We have no rules, regulations. Just the only one is you have to listen to this podcast and you have to send in the secret word. And know what the secret word is? Let's just share the secret word right now. We'll do it twice throughout the podcast, okay? So let's share the secret word. Cyndee, what is the secret word?
Am I really supposed to share it right now?
Right now. We're going to share it right now.
Okay, it starts with the letter M, like Mary. A-R-Y.
Like Mary.
Like Mary.
Oh my gosh, isn't that exciting? It's Mary. It's the secret word. Mary. Now, how can you get us the secret word? It's really awesome. We have a phone number. You can text us or call us and leave a message on it, but I like texting of it anyway. The phone number is 480-788-9580. That number again, 480-788-9580. It texts that to us. Text the word Mary to us, and you'll be in the running, the drawing that we're doing. It's just going to be random, everything. Or you can send it to our email address. Yes, Rod, Cyndee have an email address. It is rancpodcast@gmail. That's rancpodcast@gmail.com. Now, it looks like RANC podcast. It was funny, but it's rancpodcast@gmail.com. Just send us a little email with the word Mary in it, and you'll be in the running. Now, it's nothing special. We're just going to be going through the names and blah, blah, blah. We're just going to pick. It's going to be so random, okay?
And when is that date again?
The due date, well, it has to be in by December 15th. I mean, we're going to have a drawing on December 15th, 2017. And so you have to have all this in by December 15th, 2017.
Okay, wonderful. I think I'm going to email ranc@gmail.com.
You can't do this.
Oh, I can't?
No.
Oh,
no.
Man.
You're not allowed. Anybody that's involved with the Rod and Cyndee podcast is not allowed to enter.
All right. Well, I'm happy to
how
share.
Random it is.
That's how random.
It's how random. Just randomly can do things, but you randomly can't do it. I mean, because those are beautiful leggings. I love it. I mean, they have so many different things too, which I'm impressed by. They have the bottoms and tops, and they have sunglasses. They add new things all the time to it, and they're a huge company. I'm just really impressed by, and I'm very excited that they're sponsoring us in this podcast. And what is this podcast about, Cyndee?
It's a special one, mostly for you and I, Rod, but I hope others out there will enjoy it and be able to feel what it is that we're going to share. And it's about Jesus and Mary Magdalene.
Wow. This is around Christmas time, isn't it? This is interesting. This is when Christianity came up with Jesus' birth and everything. So this is kind of interesting. But is this an actually religious podcast?
No, not really. We're more spiritual for sure, but we don't dismiss the religion. You know, it does help a lot of beautiful people out there, but definitely this is on a spiritual level.
Yes. Leah, do you know who Mary Magdalene is?
Yeah, I know who she was. She was.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So you say was, I say is. That's interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think her spirit lives on in all of us.
Probably, but
Absolutely.
just a habit.
Yeah, absolutely. When Cyndee, she can actually channel Mary Magdalene's, which is awesome. So Mary Magdalene's always around us, I think, all the time.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. So I think we should ask Leah what it is that she knows about Mary Magdalene.
Oh. If I'm not mistaken, she was a prostitute, and she was at the time of Jesus, and actually, Jesus spoke to her, and he said, "Don't judge you," or something, and then she converted or something. Is that right?
Well, that's what we've all learned in church and otherwise from other people. Yes.
But that's not what we've been finding out in the later days, that she really wasn't a prostitute. She was actually one of the apostles of Jesus, and she helped spread the word. And it's really interesting is that there is a lot of that out there that people think that way. Now, we're not saying you're wrong, okay? No way. That's judgment. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying how we see it and how other people are now starting to see it too, is that Mary Magdalene played a whole different role in this society, in this world. And it's kind of a cool role that she has played.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we're not saying you're wrong, dear, in any which way, shape, or form.
No, sure, but, I don't take it offend. I'm okay.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that. Absolutely glad to hear that. So, Cyndee, because we're involved in the Jesus and Mary Magdalene stuff, and we're really involved like it and everything, and we actually carry some of that energy around us. We believe that it's within us, that we have this energy in that. But we've only been getting signs for a long time now that Jesus and Mary Magdalene are on the comeback, aren't we?
Absolutely. I 100+% agree with that, only because of the experiences that you and I have experienced thus far, even up until just even an hour ago, which I'm happy to share pretty soon. Absolutely amazing.
Do you want to start sharing anyway? I mean, when did all this start? I mean, just kind of a backstory of how all this started with us.
Yeah, so, okay, well, when you say that, you talk about Mary and Jesus, our experiences with that so far, right?
Yeah, just that one part, because there's so many other parts that go with it. But just the Mary and Jesus, I mean, the blue backstory, when did that start?
Yes. So, to my recollection, and I believe yours as well, is earlier this year, before what we call here Easter. Easter means the crucifixion of Jesus and the resurrection of Jesus, those 3 days. So our Easter in 2017 was in April of this year. So our experiences started before that, like in March, I would say.
Yes.
We started just kind of talking about Jesus and Mary for one reason or another. All of a sudden, pictures would start popping up on your phone or on my phone of one or the other or both. And so it was like, wow, where's this coming from? The celestials, of course. So with time, and we kept hearing this gong sound. Yeah, the gong sound. So Rod and I would be talking on the phone, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, I'd hear the gong. And a lot of times I would hear it on my end, but he wouldn't hear it on his end. At least for a while, that didn't happen. Then he did start hearing it. So it was like, oh my gosh, there's that gong sound. It was just so beautiful. And so we, were kind of in touch with Jesus and Mary, and right, we would talk about them or the
Right.
Crusaders. We even went to the pawn shop and got the Da Vinci Code.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Remember? And because I had never seen the movie, and so we then I can't remember. Did we watch the movie first, or did Easter happen? Do you remember, Rod?
No, it was before Easter that all this
Okay.
happened. Yeah. The pawn shop was before Easter too. Yes.
Okay. All right. That's what I thought. Thank you for the
I
remembering.
think it was actually in March is when we were at the pawn shop in March.
I believe that as well.
Because I remember that was a brand new pawn shop that opened up in February, and we hadn't gone to even look to see it yet.
Oh, that is correct.
And it was
Thank
right
you.
down the road from the office, and it was like, oh, let's go check out the new pawn shop.
That's right. That's right. Thank you. Boy, sometimes our memory just, we forget things, even though it's only been 6 months ago or whatever.
Right.
But just the same, though. So the story goes, we did go to the pawn shop, got the Da Vinci Code. A couple weeks later, we, were watching it, and I just was loving it, because first of all, the Crusaders were involved, and Rod, I will share something with a connection with that he saw in me for the first time years ago.
Yes.
But just to go back to the movie for just a moment, we were watching the movie, and just minding my own business. Well, they got to the point of the movie where the professor or whomever he is was showing them on the screen the Last Supper, and how Mary Magdalene was leaning over to the one gentleman, and how he was saying that really isn't right or true. But what he was also showing was the V shape between her and Jesus, which represents the symbolic meaning of the feminine. So the V shape, or the upside down pyramid or triangle, if you will, represents the sacred feminine symbol. And the chalice, and so I mentioned the chalice.
Right.
But as soon as he said all that, it was like, oh my gosh, my whole body just started to feel this energy that was so overwhelming. I was, couldn't control it, and it felt like my gut, like almost as if I was giving birth without the pain. It was, and you were there, Rod, to witness it.
I don't remember that part of the movie anymore because I was so watching you. You're in so much pain.
But I really wasn't in pain.
Well, I know, but that's what it looked like. I mean, the feeling of the energy around it was that you were in pain and like you were giving birth. And I paused the movie and everything else and that. I mean, that alone to me, the feeling of that, it was, I think, like a rebirth of you remembering something.
Well, maybe so, because definitely the motions that I was going through and I kept grabbing my stomach, just the whole everything, because I have actually, given 2 live births, so I understand how that looks like and feels like. And the energies were so strong, it was taking my breath away. My mom, who was in 2 rooms, over, was even feeling the energies, and she was like, Cyndee, what's going on in there? I feel those energies.
Yeah, that's right. Your mom could feel it all the way in there. I mean, it was
Yes.
immense and intense.
Absolutely. And, of course, then it made me emotional, and it was just quite the experience to go through that. And I was like, my goodness, what was that all about, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was just to even experience that and watch that happen to you. It was a remembrance, something that you're remembering for sure.
Oh, it must have been something from a past or some sort of energies. Absolutely. And then, so while we're on the subject of the movie, again, the Crusaders were part of this, which if you want to quickly share your experience, Rod, with that, and then we'll flash back to this. And sorry, folks, if we kind of go back and forth, because we've had so much going on that, but
Exactly.
we will definitely try to share everything.
Well, the intensity of the energy of this is we're going to be remembering little things that come back to us and everything. But the Crusaders thing is that, oh my gosh, my first time that I ever saw this was I worked on Cyndee and giving her energy work. And I actually saw this whole thing about Crusaders with her and everything else and protection and everything. And it was really interesting is that I was like one of the Crusaders in one of the past lives I saw this. It was a download. And what was interesting is that every part of it that I saw I was always part of the Crusaders, and I actually, to this day, am still looking for the scarf that I left Cyndee. And that's interesting, is because in a past life, basically, I guess I left her a scarf as I went off to fight the war and in the Crusades. And I was part of the Crusaders then. But I always knew Cyndee was part of it, and I always felt bad because I always left Cyndee. I always did. I always left her to be a Crusader, to go on and without her. So yeah, so Crusaders are really important in my life. I mean, there's a lot of things I know that I was part of crusading. I think there's a Christ consciousness that also goes with Crusaders. I think they got a bad rap also, and what some of the people think of who the Crusaders were.
Right. Well, and don't forget the part about that. Go back to what you were saying when you worked on me that first time doing energy work. What you saw when you were closing me up.
Help me with that, please.
When you saw the Red Cross.
Oh gosh, yes. So at the end, yeah, thank you. So at the end of every time is when we seal up somebody for doing energy work. That we'll take and make our arm like a blade, and the blade will go across the top of somebody's body, and as it goes across somebody's body, it cleanses and clears all that garbage off the top of them, and you wipe it off and you put it into a garbage can or whatever else. In that, well, I always think that there's a white linen cloth, a Reiki cloth, I always called it, that would go over this person too. Well, as I'm laying this cloth over Cyndee and remember, this isn't imaginary. This is something that you see in your mind and everything else. That the cloth was always a white, pure white cloth. This time I turned and looked, and there's this great big red cross on Cyndee's sheet that I put over her. And I've never saw that before. And I was kind of shocked. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know where it came from. I didn't know anything. It was the craziest thing to be able to see that. And I'm looking at it going, wow, how amazing is that this has something to do with it. Well, I kind of forgot about it. And one day I was over at Cyndee's house, and she has this getting ready outfit. And when she gets ready and everything else, and it's a pure white dress that she gets ready in. And oh my gosh, I turned, I looked, and there's this big old red cross on her chest in this get ready outfit that she has. I almost bawled. I almost went into tears just because this is the craziest thing. I never noticed that before in my whole entire life. So it has something to do with Crusaders. And it's very amazing.
Yes, it is. And then, of course, the connection with Mary Magdalene, how they helped her, saved her, protected her, and did everything for her. It's interesting how all these things, are synchronicities, how they all kind of come together. And that's how our experiences have been with this, is that like little pieces, fragments from here and there, but yet they all equal one thing. And that's, Mary Magdalene and Jesus. And I think overall, what I'm even more so believing is it's more about Mary Magdalene. And it goes back to even my Sacred Feminine podcast, where I truly believe, and still to this day and will always, that I believe her energies are here to help balance the world out. So I think all these experiences are definitely mostly about her.
I would have to agree with that 100%. I mean, they do. They exude this whole energy, that consciousness of it. So, I mean, imagine. So imagine this. What if, just imagine this. What if Jesus
See you later.
was this beautiful man that had died on the cross for our sins, okay? And he really didn't die, but he came back and he became one of the Crusaders. What if that,
Yes.
Just imagine if that was real, or if that was what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think of that? I mean, that's a process. That's a possibility of that, right?
Oh, I think so. Why not?
I mean, that would actually, clear up a lot of things that, Jesus never did die, and he went and fought a cause after that. Maybe, I don't know. I there's all these different looks at it and everything. So, it's a possibility. It could have, Now remember, everything that we talk about is the way we see things. It's that we're not telling you this is the way you need to see it. This is the way you and I see things. This is how we see stuff, and this is through our eyes. Okay, only. We're just sharing.
Absolutely.
We're just sharing.
Absolutely. I'm glad you made that clear, that this is what we see and feel, and we feel that the messages are coming through to us to even, say these things. But again, it's our perception of things and our experiences.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you may hear some noises in the background, and it's we're not doing our podcast in the office anymore. We're just doing it remotely, wherever we can and everything. And so there's going to be some outside noises along with what we're doing. And I'm kind of excited like that. Yeah, this is kind of fun. Just who knows? So if you hear noises in the background, don't mind the noises. Just
That's
let
right.
them go.
Thank you. So I want to get back to the Easter time.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing the Crusaders part of it. I wanted you to, because I had mentioned it, and of course, once again, it's about Mary Magdalene. So in March, again, we watched the Da Vinci Code, and I just shared with you what happened to me. It was quite amazing, that energy. And so now we kind of fast forward a couple weeks or better to Easter. Well, before I say that, though, there's one more thing I want to share, is that Rod and I, for a couple years now, have been seeing these real pretty, what we call special orbs.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But yeah, right. They're colorful, and sometimes for quite a while there, when Rod would send me a picture, sometimes his phone would intervene these orbs, and so I just want to make sure I make point of that, because it's going to go along with what I'm about ready to share here in a moment. So fast forward again to Easter. And I'm getting ready in the morning time, that morning. And my mom, she loves playing her movies, like the Robe and, the Ten Commandments and, all these wonderful, movies like that on Easter. And so she was playing the movie The Robe. And I'm getting ready, and all of a sudden I heard gong. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the gong. So I ran out to the living room, and I'm like, Mom, back it up, let me hear it again. And so she did. She backed it up, she played it again. I'm like, oh, that's the same sounding gong as when I would, Rod and I were talking, that I would hear. And the thing is that what makes this gong sound different is that your typical gongs are a solid shield looking, right?
Absolutely.
Well, this one in the movie, if you ever watch the movie again and they get to that point, and this is, again, they're talking about Jesus right before they hit the gong.
The robe, right?
The
robe?
The robe,
okay.
Yes, R-O-B-E, yes, the robe. So when they hit this gong, though, the gong, they show the gong, actually, and it looks like a donut. It has a hole in the middle, so it's not a solid shield or a solid gong. That's what makes a difference, because it's not a deep sound. It's a little bit more of a higher pitch sound. And when I heard that, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I could not believe my eyes and ears. It was like, wow, synchronicities.
Crazy.
And it was so crazy. Absolutely. So then we were watching, there was a program on CNN, I believe, about Jesus and something. I don't remember the title of it, but it was about Jesus. And there was this one segment, yes, where it showed Jesus, where he comes back to life, the resurrection, and he, it shows Mary crying, and he walks up to her and, just tells her, no need to cry, and he gives her this hug, and he's talking to her. Well, at that moment when this whole part is happening, those special orbs are coming through on the TV screen, but it's within the movie.
Oh, exactly, yes.
Right?
Yep.
It's within the show. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's those special orbs that Rod and I were getting, or I was getting, and there it is. It showed up on this episode of the resurrection of Jesus. Now again, folks, this is right at the same time now that Easter is. So all these things are happening between March and April, and pictures were showing up on my phone through Rod's phone of Mary and Jesus. There were pictures of Jesus on the cross, that were coming through. All these downloads, and this would be like times when Rod and I would be either talking on the phone, or we just were talking about Mary and Jesus, or the crucifixion, or the resurrection, or something, and all of a sudden either a text message would come through of a verbiage and or a picture. And we have to post these pictures, Rod, somehow so that they can see the pictures
Well, I think
that
it's going to be on our podcast window. Some of these pictures and that we have the little podcast website, so it'll be on there. When they get to see this, they're going to see some of the pictures now. But we're also going to be setting up a YouTube where we're going to be posting all these pictures also along with the podcast.
Oh, perfect. Yes, because I've been saving them all. Job. And it's just...
You're the one that's going to set this all up.
Okay. All right. Hopefully with your guidance.
I love to put you on the spot. Absolutely.
I know, right?
So, well, this is just amazing. I am just, the thing is that we've been getting these messages and signs for quite a while and that, but there's more to this. I mean, there's so much more to this but what does this mean? There's a meaning behind this. I know there is. What does it mean?
Well, that's a very good question, I have to say. Gosh darn, I know that there's something within me, and I'm sure many people out there too, but definitely something within me that I feel so strongly of this energy. And I believe she's really just trying to come through. They speak of the second coming, but they don't know who the second coming is. What if it is the energies of Mary Magdalene?
If it is, I mean, that would be remarkable if that's what it is. No.
Absolutely. Why not? I mean, it's been male energies before, so now we need to bring some balance into our world here. We talk about balance and harmony and peace. Well, you can't have that if you are not balanced. So there's been a lot of masculine, energies bring the feminine energies in, and I believe that's why she's coming through. Absolutely. I feel it in my heart and soul to help bring that balance. That's what this whole golden age is.
We're one. Think of that. If we really believe in the idea that we're one, the second coming isn't either female or male. It's one. It's the everything coming together, it is the feminine aspect of that, but that's one.
Right. Well, when we talk about, the left side of our bodies is a feminine side and the right side is a masculine side, it's not really that kind of situation, I guess. It's right. It's an energy. Even though we're all one, there still is, I think, a little bit of a specific energy between the two, though.
Absolutely. So, Cyndee, I mean, this is remarkable. I mean, this is really remarkable. We have more to share, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
What other ones did you want to share?
Well, I know that, here's a good one. I think I mentioned this one recently on a podcast. We've talked about Mary and Jesus for a while now, but sort of recently, there was this one morning when we were talking about Mary and Jesus, and Mary especially probably, and I was looking at something while we were talking about them, and there was a lot of oranges in it. And so in my inner self, I was, in that moment of looking at this orange and really absorbing that at that moment. And anyway, so when we were done with our conversation, we hung up, and your phone sent me a picture, and it's this beautiful picture of Mary Magdalene. But around her is a lot of orange, and like her background and her halo or something, if I remember right. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about orange, and now all of a sudden this beautiful picture of Mary showed up with the orange around her. And I was also at the time thinking about the infinity sign. And my gosh, if that wasn't what was on this picture, it was like two rings put together that would symbolize, if you will, the infinity sign. I was like, oh my gosh. And Steve Rod had no idea of me thinking any of this. The only thing we were doing was just talking about Mary. And then when that picture showed up, I was like, oh my gosh. So I called Rod up and I told him all this, and I was like, wow.
It's just amazing. I mean, because, if you think that somebody was messing with you in that, you'd hear it or something like that. This is not even hearing. This is, you just knew. I mean, that's the whole thing about this.
Well, that's just it. My internal energies, I think,
absolutely.
produced it.
So think about this: is that we were just this last Thanksgiving. Okay, I was up in Idaho with the family and having some beautiful Thanksgiving up here, and we were talking about these different things about Mary and Jesus and Thanksgiving and everything else. And I found this website and I was talking to you about it. And I distinctly remember the verse was Luke 7:44 through 47. It was talking about washing the feet and kissing the feet. And I thought that was really interesting because 44 through 47. Well, it goes on because it talks about Mary Magdalene and her hair. And we were talking about, I don't know the whole conversation, but we started talking about cute little blondes. And I was talking about you being a cute little blonde and everything. And this had actually came up about Mary Magdalene having blonde hair. And not a lot of people knew that. And there's this whole story about why they wore these little tunics on their head and everything else. That is that when a woman's ready to be married and they've gone through puberty and that they start covering their hair up. And what's interesting is that Mary was doing that. She actually started covering, but so not a lot of people knew that she had this beautiful blonde hair. She's just gorgeous. A lot of pictures depict her with this aura around her that's all yellow, but it's part of her blonde hair that she wears. And so I was thinking about this is because I sent Cyndee these little shots of the whole website and everything else. Is like, this is kind of cool. Look at some of the pictures of it and everything else. And there's this picture that depicts 3 people that are kneeling at the cross during the crucifixion, and I didn't notice it at that time. I just didn't even. It was just it's a crucifixion picture, right? Well, interesting thing enough is that we've gotten a few other pictures in between that, but today we got a crucifixion picture again that was sent. And this time it was very vivid. It was knowing that there is a blonde that's kneeling. There's 3 women there standing there. It's a famous picture, and there's 3 women standing there, but there's a blonde kneeling at the base of the cross. And this picture she doesn't have that little covering over her hair or anything. It's open, and it shows this long blonde hair. Didn't even notice that. Didn't even compute, because the other picture I sent her of the snapshot of that website, she has her hair covered. In most of the famous pictures, her hair is covered up. Not a lot of people knew that she was a blonde-haired person. But since then, it's interesting is that there's been these little things. Cyndee sent me a picture the other day at 11:11, which I found fascinating, of this blonde-haired woman holding the universe in her hand, and it's all lit up.
Now,
absolutely.
Not to interrupt, but I'm going to interrupt just for a second. Now, when Rod says I sent him a picture, truth be told, I physically did not send it. My higher self sent it through my phone. I know this sounds crazy, you all, but it's so true. This is what I talk about when Rod and I get pictures, either one way or the other, or text messages one way or the other. This is what happens. Our higher self and our phones just take over and send these pictures and sayings.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Rod.
That phenomenal. It is just amazing because it's a picture of the universe. The first one I got was a picture of the universe, and it's glowing. It's like coming out of her chest, and it's got this beautiful blonde hair and everything else. And if you guys don't know, Cyndee has this beautiful blonde hair too, and she gets complimented on her hair all the time. And yes, it's amazing. But the fascinating part about that is that she didn't even know she sent this. And then very next day, I get another picture from her, and it's the blue universe floating in front of this woman, and she's got this immense energy in the third eye area that's just shining, and it's a huge, beyond huge person looking down on Earth. And it's, how beautiful is that? It's just the colors of it is just, and the feeling of that energy of that picture is just amazing. And so I'm just in shock, because then today, you and I are getting ready for this podcast. We're putting things together and everything else. And we were talking about Easter, what the meaning of Easter is, you know, it's Good Friday to Easter, what it means, and all this stuff, right? We're talking about that. And I actually just made a joke about it. It's like, well, why do they call it Good Friday when that's when Jesus was crucified? I don't get that concept. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. All of a sudden, my phone froze up, and I couldn't do anything. But it says I was downloading something, and the next thing I know is that it goes to Cyndee's profile on Messenger, pulls it up, and starts sending a picture. Now, I can't see this picture, right? I have no idea what this picture is about, but it's sending Cyndee a picture, and I'm like, what the heck? Now, when Cyndee and I are on the phone, she can't get any messages. You know, it's weird. It's just weird how it's set up, but she can't receive any messages. So she goes, oh my gosh, hang up, because I want to see what it is. And so we hung up the phones and everything. Cyndee gets back on the phone and calls me, and we're both just emotional. You know, I was like, well, what was it, Cyndee? Tell me. And she's trying to have a hard time trying to explain to me what she got, the picture she got. And I still haven't seen it because it's still downloading on my phone. A minute later, as Cyndee's trying to describe it, the picture actually showed up on my phone too. And it was so emotional. It really meant something. There was something behind this that was just amazing. It was the picture of the blonde lady kneel down at Jesus' feet during the crucifixion. There's a meaning behind this. There's something about this. There's something so strong that when we talk about this, we get excited inside. And there's something we're supposed to share. I don't know if it's just the stories we're supposed to share, or just to let people know that this can happen. Right?
That is right. Oh, absolutely. I couldn't believe it. You know, like you said, we were talking about, you know, preparing ourselves for the podcast and talking about the crucifixion and the resurrection. And I was reading to you, because I've been trying to keep notes of some past things, you know, like messages and pictures and whatnot. And so we were reading through all that. And like you said, your phone went blank and it was sending me something. And oh my gosh, when I saw that picture, I immediately bursted out in tears and started crying. It was so beautiful. I just couldn't believe it that we were just talking about this. And this beautiful picture of these two women standing up, and this beautiful lady with this long blonde hair at Jesus' feet while he's dying on the cross, or not. Anyways, he's pinned on the cross, and I took my breath away. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are the experiences, you guys, that we experience. We talk about something, and all of a sudden it happens. It's just so amazing. Receiving that picture via your phone when we were just talking about all the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus, and this beautiful picture shows up that we had to hang up the phone for me to receive and look at, and instantly I started I started crying. It was so emotional. It just like took my breath away. It's like, oh my gosh, like, how does that happen? How who in the universe, or who around me and you, or within you and me, or whatever, is hearing us and can send this after I was just talking about it, you know? It was amazing once again, Rod. I mean, these phenomenons that happen to us like this is just amazing. And It was really beautiful. And again, looking at that picture, she had long blonde hair, and there she was at the feet of Christ while he was pinned on the cross. And can it get any more emotional than that, you know?
No, but what happens when you get emotional?
When I get emotional, things like computers shut off, phones go crazy, computers go crazy, routers go out, lights go flying through the room.
Electric cars get shut off.
That's right. And
don't mess with Mother Nature.
Seriously. And you know, truth be told, folks, that's exactly what happened a few minutes ago. I got emotional when I was talking about it, and it shut all my system down and Rod's system down. Mind you, we're 2,000 miles apart. I'm on my mom's computer, Rod's on his stuff, and when I got emotional talking about Mary at Jesus' feet, it wiped everything out.
It shut down your router, my router, it shut down everything. And that's uncommon, unheard of, that both at the exact same time, 2,000 miles away, that this would happen. And so it's the idea that there's emotion behind these pictures. There's emotion behind the words. There's emotions behind this stuff. This is just amazing. Yeah, so we've had to restart, reboot, and everything else. So if it sounds like there's a little bit of a lag in something, that's because we did. We had to restart everything, and we're going to cut this together and put this together as best we can. But something like that is just amazing. I mean, you can't even. There's not even words that I can describe why or how this happens to us.
No,
There's something about it.
There is something about it. There is definitely an energy that is trying to come through. And come through me and or you, definitely. Because like I said, when I think of something, sometimes it appears. You know, it's like, okay, Cyndee, I heard you thinking about this, or this is what I was telling you inside your, you know, mind. And here's the picture that we were just talking about, that you were just seeing in your head. And it's just amazing.
It is. It's simply amazing. I can't even describe to you. I mean, how many times that we've talked about something or brought up something that was emotional and what it's done to us. I mean, not just us, but people around us. I mean, it affects a lot of things. So remember that there's this energy about this. There's something about this that is even beyond our circumstances or anything we know of.
Absolutely.
It's beyond.
It is. And, you know, if this truly is Mary and or Jesus, or maybe they're all one now anyways, as we are all one, this energy that wants to come through again is very, very powerful. And, you know, in our podcast about the awakening, my shakings that I have, you know, and they still come through sometimes. And, you know, even that energy that came through with the, you know, movie that we were watching, the Da Vinci Code, there's something powerful, and this energy is definitely trying to make itself known. Again, whether it's like a second coming or just it's just an energy that needs to be present, or I'm not even sure. You and I both are not sure, but we certainly get these, right? But we certainly get these phenomenons that happen to us, you know, whether it's, you know, in our Synchronicities podcast, you know, everything that we said in our Synchronicities podcast, that was just a lot of things that we've experienced, but we still always experience more. And our Awakening podcast, those podcasts put together is what we live every day almost, you know, right, Rod?
Oh, absolutely. We live in this bubble almost in an aspect. I always looked at it because Cyndee likes this part of it is like a snow globe. Because Cyndee's talked about living within a snow globe or seeing snow globes. And in some aspect of that, I think when you get to a spiritual part of your life where you'll start living and walking the walk and talking the talk, you start living in this snow globe. And, you know, everything just is the way it's supposed to be. And we need to just allow that to happen. You know, I always tell Cyndee, don't question it, just go with it. Don't question it, don't just go with it. And that's partly what we have to do. And it's really hard to imagine going through this 2,000 miles away from somebody that you have this connection with. You know, it's odd. It's just it's unheard of in my books. I've never had to deal with anything like this before my whole entire life.
Oh, I know, me either. And I don't know of anybody else out there who has these experiences. And if you do, that's wonderful and beautiful for you as well. But I truly believe these energies that are coming forth, stronger and stronger constantly. It's like an evolution all in itself, Rod, because we started with one little letter, the W with the line through it. It has evolved all the way to this in the last almost 3 years. And this evolution of what we experience is just amazing. There's something that's about ready to reveal itself. There's just got to be. And I think it's going to be something very magical and very powerful, and something that's very much needed. And I think you and I are definitely heading this up, even though we may not know what it is yet.
Yet.
I know, right? A beautiful dove just flew over by me. Thank you. He doesn't have the olive branch in his hand, in his mouth, his beak, I mean.
They have hands?
I know, I said that wrong, right?
I like that.
Well, his little beak is like his little hand.
Yeah, actually, beak hands.
Anyway, so back on a kind of a serious note here. These, folks, we can't even describe to you how amazing all this stuff is. But we want to. Here's the beautiful and the golden thing about it. Whatever is being revealed to us, that's why we're doing these podcasts, to share it with you all. And maybe you can help bring the strength and the energy within this force as well. Also, maybe by us sharing it and talking about it, and maybe more things will come too to help continue for this energy to reveal itself. And I think it's just something very spectacular, and there's definitely a connection with the Jesus and Mary Magdalene energies.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, do you remember the other day? A picture came through. It was just of Mary and Jesus, Mary Magdalene and Jesus, and they're both pointing at their chests for the hearts that they have on their chests. They're dressed in red. They have this beautiful aura over them. Remember that?
Yeah, I think that was the morning that you said that you felt some beautiful warmth around my heart, because you can you can sense that energy. You said you felt the warmth around my heart.
Right.
You said you could feel sparkles and light around my heart. Go ahead.
And you sent me this picture. I mean, because I don't have it on my phone, but it's on your phone. From you, that it's and I got a download. Remember, I got a download about that whole thing.
That's right.
And I told you that Jesus had promised Mary after the crucifixion they would never leave her again, and that that the patches on their heart was to remember that forever.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Because it signified the purity of each other's love for each other and everything.
Right.
Well, that was kind of, and I'm not going to get emotional about it, but that was kind of emotional to me, because we were talking about that there's a warning, there's something, because we've been warned. And that very night, my son, van burned up. Remember that?
Yep.
It was like instinctively he got out on time, but the van started on fire. And the van he basically sits on top of the engine. So it started on fire, and we could have lost him. I mean, that's how bad it was. But it was crazy. So you and I are talking about this, and you send me a picture of a car that pulled up, of their license plate on it. And it says, "Praise JC."
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm sitting there to myself, because it was the whole thing is that, our higher self, or who we are, however you want to believe in Jesus or God or whatever else, that as your higher self, and that we have to understand that there's a gratefulness that we have to be about that. There's something that we have to be so grateful about.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
And it's just amazing.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. With this being in a spiritual realm, like you said, walk the walk, talk the talk, and being so connected, beautiful, amazing things can happen. I mean, like what we experienced. But go ahead.
No, I was just saying is that there's more to it that day. It was a very active day, because you got a text message from a unlisted phone number or something like that, right? Phone number that's no longer service.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, that says, "You know what you need to do, Cynthia." Cynthia.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it said, "Do not overthink anything. Do not overthink anything."
Right.
And we were questioning that. It's like, this whole what are we overthinking this? Are we making more to it than what it really is? You know, I don't know. I mean, this is something is that you know what you need to do. You know, that's the whole thing. Concept is that does anybody know what we need to do? I think we're guided daily on a daily process and a daily thing that we're always guided to knowing what we need to do. I think it's just us listening to it and knowing what we need to do. I think there's a way that we actually are missing on some opportunities and missing some things and that because we really honestly aren't doing what we need to do. And it's almost sad, you know. You know what you need to do, Cyndee. Quit overthinking things. But I think that was not just a message to you, but I think it's a message to many people out there. You know?
Yes.
Be who you are, honey. That's the whole thing, right?
Be who you are. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So one more time, we have to talk about who sponsored this podcast. It was peachlook.com with their beautiful leggings.
Yep. Yes, they're leggings, which are so wonderful.
Yes. Are you wearing yours right now?
No, it's a little warm here in Phoenix today, even though it's November.
Oh, wow. Yes, it's like 44 degrees here up in Idaho. So, yes.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. It's probably in the 80s right now.
Oh, my gosh. We're half of your temperature probably.
Right.
So peachlook.com is the one that sponsored this podcast. And what was the secret name again that they have to use to win a free leggings?
Well, I'm just going to say we said it at least more than once throughout this podcast.
It was Mary.
And Mary. M like Mary.
M like Mary. Mary.
A-R-Y.
Perfect. Absolutely. They can actually call us or text us. I like the texting part better, and just text your answer, you know, to the Rod City Podcast, and the phone number for the Rod City Podcast is 480-788-9580. Now, if you get charged for your texting or whatever else, that's on you, not on us. But it's 480-788-9580. Text Mary to that number. Also, they can send an email to you and I. It's rancpodcast@gmail.com. That's R as in Rod and A-N-C as in Cyndee, podcast@gmail.com. They can just send us an email saying Mary on it. And they'll be put into it's all random. I mean, everything's going to be random. There's no scientific thought to this or anything else. It's just random. We're just going to pick somebody and let Peachlook know who it is, and Peachlook will send them some information or something like that. And it's like I said, it's just going to be all random. So I'm excited about that. Did you know that if you wanted to sponsor a podcast, I think we actually have another sponsor coming up next podcast that really wants to be part of it too. And I can't mention their name yet because we're still in negotiations and that. But if you want to sponsor a podcast, this is good because we go all over the world. We're not just in the United States, we're everywhere. And we're in many different states. That it's interesting. Washington, Texas, California, Idaho, Montana, Arizona, South Dakota, I ever said Montana, right? All those places have us, you know, people listen to us. Besides outside, we have the UK, we have all these different places outside. India even we have some people. So I'm excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's peachlook.com. Check them out. I think they're running actually a big sale too right now. So, you know, besides that, get some cool stuff. Cyndee, what a pleasure.
Absolutely. Yeah, it has been. Thank you once again. I wanted to share one last story. I didn't realize we were closing up shop yet, but
don't have to close up shop. Keep going.
Well, just I wanted to read this again. For a long time there, I was making notes of things, and I just wanted to read this one thing that was still to do with Mary and Jesus. So on April 5th, 2017 at 10:19 a.m. a picture of a crusader popped up on Rod's computer, Facebook, and from someone he doesn't know and is not a Facebook friend. We were talking about Mary Magdalene mostly and Jesus. When Rod sent me that pic, I got very emotional about it, as I was when we were talking about Mary Magdalene. After all that beautiful talk, I had to go. I had to go because I was getting busy at work. So I was at work that morning, and I'm a notary, by the way, if anybody needs help. And my first notary that morning, after Rod and I were talking about Mary Magdalene and the Crusaders, and he got that picture popped up of the Crusaders. So I went to go help this lady, and guess what her name was, or is?
Does it start with the M like Mary?
Yes, Mary. And I just smiled and said, thank you. Folks, I always say thank you whenever something wonderful happens, which is all day long, and for the most part. And then a few minutes later, my next notary customer came in. I couldn't believe it. His name is...
J like Jesus?
Yeah, Jesus. And so I had put my head down to write his information down, but really at that moment I was filling up with tears. I gave thanks once again. What's so awesome, what's also interesting is that morning I was trying to decide if I wanted to take my bag of books and my iPad to work, but realized I wouldn't need it. So I contemplated whether or not to just take the Crusaders book only, but chose not to. Of course, that pic was sent to Rod's computer as another message for me. So in my mind, once again, that morning, I was deciding what I was going to bring to work or not, and the Crusaders book, obviously I did not, but that picture showed up on his Facebook, arbitrarily. And then again, how cool was that? My first two notary people was a Mary and a Jesus or Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable.
I love it.
Unbelievable. It's just these things that happen are just so spectacular and amazing, breathtaking. Spirituality is breathtaking.
Absolutely.
So thank you for letting me. Thank you for letting me share that last little bit on a last note.
We're usually in the same room doing this, so you do see me spinning my finger, going, "Okay, wrap it up." But yeah, so this is interesting. I really enjoy this. This is fun.
It was fun. It was fun. And thank you, Rod, for these experiences and all this. And I thank your phone, good, bad, or indifferent. It's just absolutely, once again, amazing. And thank you all out there as well for listening and being a part of this. And if you have any insight or downloads or channeling about any of this, please do share, as Rod gave you the phone number for a text or the email address for a message, because again, he and I are on this this path and this destiny to find out what this is about. We aren't invoking it. This energy is coming to us and coming out of us or out of our phones or
Absolutely.
what have you. So we're still trying to figure it out. So if anybody has any ideas, please do share, right, Rod?
And if you want us to share it on air, we will. I just love this stuff. I mean, I love getting points of views from everybody. No hate mail. I'll just throw that away. But all good, loving, positive mail, I keep. And I share with Cyndee all the time. So it's beautiful. Hey,
Absolutely.
can we toot our own horn for a little bit? Did you notice on iTunes where we're at this week?
Oh, I haven't checked the last couple of days. I've been busy making two Thanksgiving dinners. But please do share.
I got so excited. Is that at the beginning of the week and that we were number 2. Then I was like, oh my God, please be number 1. Please be number 1. But at the end of the week, we ended up being number 3. I am so excited. I mean, how exciting is that to find us number 2 or number 3 on Spiritual Podcast, top of the list? I am just amazed. Just toot our own horn on this because it's really amazing. If people don't realize how hard it is to make a spiritual podcast that is full of electronics, and we're all energy, and we create energy making these spiritual podcasts, we interfere with electronics all the time, so it's not an easy thing. So this is a blessing. This is a real blessing. We're getting our word out there, what we need to. So I'm excited about it.
That is wonderful.
Toot, toot,
Woohoo! Way to go, darling. Toot, toot. Absolutely. And, not only just electronics, being our friend or foe, but up against, some big names in the, spiritual realm as well, or the religious realm, to be up against those, icons, if you will. That's awesome. I'm so blessed. Thank you all so much. Please pass the word and, just
share.
podcast. Absolutely. We have a lot of heart and soul in this, and truthfully heart and soul, and we're excited to share these amazing things.
Absolutely. Well, I hate to say it, our time is up.
Okay. Yeah, now the time.
Time is up. So, all right.
Okay.
To everybody out there, my heart goes out to you, full of love. You are blessed, and I am loved, and I am blessed, and you are loved. Cyndee, what a pleasure, always.
Thank you, Rod. Likewise, and to all of you out there, thank you once again from the bottom of my flaming, beautiful heart and soul. I thank you for tuning in and sharing. And I was going to say something else, but I lost it, and it's okay. Thank you.
Happy holidays from the Rod Cyndee podcast. We're happy to bring this to you as weekly, and just love doing what we do.
Absolutely, you're right. Thank you. One more thing real fast is that you're right, the holidays are coming up, so who knows what kind of more messages we'll get from the divine, Mary and or Jesus. So
Absolutely.
We'll see.
All right, honey.
We'll have to do another podcast.
Bye, dear.
Bye,
Talk to you all. Yep.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye.